Hi, everyone. I'm Gary Summers, and welcome to the audio edition of Mind, Body, Soul, a show about your mental, physical, and spiritual wellness. I have another wonderful guest with me today, Justine O'Leary, whose title is Be the Light. Welcome, Justine.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. I'm just over the moon.
Excellent, excellent. So, Justine, before we get into this, can you tell our listeners what they can expect to hear from you today?
Yeah, for sure. I have a business called Joy Fit, and through my business, I really connect physical health to mental health. And so, what I mean by that is I offer a personal training, group fitness, boot camps, and yoga, and also meditation. And so, I really have this passion and this light inside me that I want to share, and it's all about promoting those benefits that I've personally felt and experienced when moving my body and the benefits it has on my mental health and also my resilience. But then also, it's not just my personal experience, it's the fact that there's a research there to support that connection between our physical and mental health. And so I really want to be that light to help to people to see that moving your body is not about what we used to think and about maybe image or weight loss or all those things. That's such a small part of what movement and physical activity is all about. It's about that connection. It's about feeling good on a day-to-day basis. It's about managing stress. It's about building that resiliency and also closing the stress loop. So physical activity is one of those ways that we can close that response to stress. So yeah, so with JoyFit, that's what it's all about for me, is trying to build that connection and help people to see that movement is so much more than just maybe what we used to see, and it's really that way that we can work with a tool that we can use to promote our own mental health and wellness.
Tell our listeners why you do what you do.
Oh gosh, well, for me, I've always been in love with movement. In even as a high school, junior high student, I just felt very connected to moving my body and the benefits I got from that. And so it felt very natural to me to then go on to do kinesiology and study human movement. And then I started to work with Indigenous communities in rural northern Alberta, and I would walk into these communities as a partner and learned so much from them, and then would have that opportunity to provide movement and talk about how we can bring more movement into the schools and into the community. And through those experiences, I had an elder who said, Justine, you are the light that our community really needs. And it was so nice to be going into communities from a positive lens and focusing on strengths. And we all have bodies and we all have the ability to move in different ways. And so for me, my why is to get people to see that movement is so much more than just about weight. It is about connection. It is about feeling good on a day-to-day basis. It's about managing stress. And so because I feel that and I've lived that for over 15 years, I really feel that it's my purpose in life is to be able to share that light and the light that movement brings to my life with other people.
People see your contact information. They can't see you the way I can, and it's certainly easy to see just by the way your demeanor and how passionate you are about this stuff. Justine, where are you located?
I'm located in Conception Bay South, so I'm just on Fowler's Road, and I absolutely love it. The community's been excellent. Also, our backyard, we have so I wanted a property that was full of trees, and I had envisioned like outdoor boot camps, and so Manuel's River makes for like the perfect backdrop for that. And
Yeah.
we've just created this space where like I've had outdoor yoga classes on Topsail Bluff, and I've had yoga classes here in my backyard, surrounded by beautiful trees. You might have seen them while I was walking out,
Yeah.
walking out of the house. But so I've always had this vision. So I lived in Alberta for 6 years, and I had this vision when we moved home that, I wanted to be able to give back to the community. I got all of my education in Newfoundland, and so I wanted to be able to come back. And CBS seemed to be the perfect community for us. We're close to St. John's. I can still offer services in town, but we came from Carbonear originally, so we kind of feel like we got that around the bay feel
Oh
in
yeah,
CVS.
sure. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so we love it, and my clients have really been loving the space as well. It's very private and provides a lot of great opportunities for meaningful connection.
Where did all this start? How did you start your journey?
Where it all started for me, so I started in kinesiology. So we became certified as personal trainers. You had the choice throughout
Mm.
kinesiology. And so I made that choice to become certified as a personal trainer. And I started with some clients throughout my kinesiology degree, and they stayed with me right until I moved away to Alberta. And one of those clients actually gave me this beautiful picture as a gift before I left, and it had Joy Fit on it. And she said, "This is the joy that you bring or you brought to my life." And so that always chokes me up a little bit. But anyways, so she said, "This is a joy that you brought to my life, and I hope someday maybe you'll pursue that dream." So while living in Alberta, I worked full time in health promotion. So I worked over 5 years as a health promotion facilitator with government. And then in the evenings, I would train clients and lead fitness classes because I love to move and
Yeah.
I seem to not be able to get enough of it. So then when I moved home, my fiance and I were, trying to find our place, and it just seemed like JoyFit felt very natural. And instead of doing it on the side in the evenings, it felt like it was really a natural time to pursue it as
Okay.
my full-time gig. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Um, you talked about meditation.
Hmm.
Do you want to speak a little bit about that? Like where your journey to meditation started?
Absolutely. So, just before the pandemic, I was really lucky. I was developing a presentation for our Alberta Health Services team, and it was all about happiness and finding your way to happiness. And so I ended up having to do a course through Yale University that was all about the science of happiness. So one of the things I learned about in that course was meditation. So when I would go to schools and talk to teachers and administrators, I would really be promoting meditation and how it's supported by both Eastern and Western medicine. So, meditation is an ancient science in Eastern medicine, but it's also very much supported in the data now that, it's really good for us.
Mhm.
So I had been promoting it pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic happened, and I really realized that I, although I was maintaining my movement routine, I needed more. I was experiencing a lot of loneliness. My job changed, which is similar to a lot of people.
Sure,
My
yeah.
job role had changed, and spent a lot of time alone and isolated. And meditation really became a part of my personal story and part of how I survived what was a very challenging time for me. So, so I started that personal practice and I got really, really heavy into it. And then when we moved back to Newfoundland, I wanted more. I wanted to share that more with others. So I'd already done my yoga teacher training, and then we learned about meditation and teaching meditation. And then I decided to do some additional meditation teacher training. And so now I've been sharing it with others. And really, what's been great is the opportunity with personal training clients who may not have originally been interested in meditation. It's offering them that opportunity to have a taste of it and try it. And I've had some clients who've just really loved it, and it's been a really big asset to their lives. And so, again, the benefits are there. And I think if a meditation teacher is leading with a warm heart, it really makes a big difference because people feel that,
Sure.
and we all want to be led through meditation, especially with a very warm heart. So with that, yeah, like through personal experience, and like I said, from looking at the data, and then of course it's been supported in Eastern medicine forever.
Yeah.
Meditation is I think where we all need to go with our busy world. But in terms of for me, the pandemic really it became an everyday necessity in my life during the pandemic for sure.
You talked earlier about connection, and many years ago, people thought there was really no connection between the mind and the body. Now, of course, we know that there's a huge connection between the mind and the body. So, can you talk about why that's so important, and and how movement and mindfulness can help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I sometimes feel frustrated that, when I was, say, super young, it was physical activity was get moving so you can
Hmm.
maintain a healthy weight, or so, like those things were kind of promoted and pushed. And sometimes I think for some people it created this barrier because they thought, well, I don't need to lose weight, or I don't want to lose weight, so therefore I don't need to move.
Right.
I'm not saying that all scientists or evidence supported that, but that was the way the marketing was going. It was
Sure.
really promoting, movement as a weight loss type
Yeah.
thing.
Sure.
Um, but I think it gave us such a false impression because, again, the science is there now proving that, you know, um, movement is really helpful for anxiety and depression. And again, that's evidence informed, that it's helpful for anxiety and depression. So when we move our bodies, it has so little to do with weight management. It can be a, like maybe in some ways it can be a benefit to that, but that's such a small part. So when you think of people who have anxiety and are looking for ways to manage it that perhaps are affordable, or, and that doesn't mean they shouldn't talk to their healthcare provider. I would never
Sure.
say that.
Sure.
But once you're talking to your healthcare provider, and I have had clients who their healthcare provider has actually suggested that they move more as part of their plan.
Hmm.
And so through that, and clients that I've had who've been experiencing anxiety, they have found that movement has been such an outlet. So like through experience with clients, through my own personal experience when I'm struggling with things and I'm having, different bouts of stress in my life, movement has really helped. And one example I think of that is sometimes strange. It was maybe a little bit strange to my family, but I remember when my grandfather died, and the day of the funeral, I got up and I went for a run. And to some of the older people in the community, that seemed strange. That seemed like a very weird way to cope. But even at 19, that to me it just felt instinctual. It felt like I need to do this to cope with what's going on in my life. And I think it's important too that people know that, um, it doesn't have to be exercises, or it doesn't have to be things that cost money. It can even be going for a walk, and it doesn't have to be a fast walk. It can be getting outside for 15 minutes, getting on the treadmill for 15 minutes, just moving your body in some way to start to manage the stress and the impacts that our busy life and our stimulating society can have. Even taking some time for movement is huge.
You- we talk about, as we get older, we lose muscle mass, and people always talk about, besides aerobic activity, you should incorporate some type of strength training into your daily activity. So, do you want to talk a bit about the benefits of strength training?
Oh, absolutely. You're asking me all the best questions. Uh, so strength training, again, I feel like, maybe one time it was marketed as cool, like it's the cool thing to do. The young
Hmm.
people are doing it, but it's really, in terms of the evidence that's there, it's important for everybody, and it actually gets even more important as you get later into life. And so when I think of personal training and what I offer, I love when I have a client message me, and maybe it's a female in her mid 60s, and she's like, I don't know if this is for me. Maybe I'm not in a position where I should be getting into this. I was like, you are exactly in the
Hmm.
position. You are exactly the client that I'm looking for. I want to work with you to get that mobility back, to build up strength, because when we have strength in our body, we're able to be independent way longer into our lives, right? So you think of the grip strength you need to open up a can of jam, or orange or bottle of orange juice. Like these are things that we need for our everyday life, and strength training can really help to support that. And again, that's not my personal opinion. That is supported by
Oh,
evidence
absolutely. Sure,
that
absolutely.
strength training can really, really help with that independence into older age. And even if you think of like slipping on ice. So here in Newfoundland, we've got a lot of freezing and thawing going on. There's ice around. When you are strong and you have a strong base of support in your body, you're better able to balance. So if you're slipping on ice, then you have a better chance of being able to keep yourself up straight and having that strength in your core to maintain balance.
I think if people kind of forget about the old school way of going to the gym, and you wanted to be buff, and you wanted to get big and bulky, and think more in terms of everyday things that you have to do, bringing groceries in, walking up over stairs. I mean, all of those things, strength training as you get older, as you said, will kind of help you cope with those changes in your body much better, wouldn't they?
100%. Yeah. And you think too, like I've got some clients who have grandchildren. And so like the goal is like, I want to be able to lift up my
Right,
grandchild and
exactly.
not be worried about those things. So
Yeah,
it's not just a, I like to say it's not just like a sexy Instagram thing where you want to look good in a bikini. Strength training is way bigger than that.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
tool that you can use for your health to be that independence, your mobility, and and have those functional skills throughout life. And the cool thing too about it is that doesn't mean that someone has to go to the gym 7 days a week and 2 hours every day. Like you can get those strength benefits from really a minimal amount of time. So you can, even if you're getting in 2 to 3, like 2 to 3 sessions per week and less than an hour, you're still getting those benefits. And that can be body weight exercises. So if somebody doesn't have access to a gym or if finances are a struggle, then you can also do those body weight exercises at home. And of course, reaching out to a professional if you're not sure about how to
yeah,
do different
yeah.
things is always a great idea. But as long as you're getting moving is better than not moving at all, as I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it is
Exactly.
accessible, and it doesn't have to cost a pile of money. It's just as long as you're getting out and moving your body in some way, it has
Yeah.
so many benefits for your physical and mental health.
Even the exercise bands have become
Yes,
quite popular, and you don't need a whole lot of space. They don't cost a whole lot of money, and pretty easy to do some of those exercises, right? Um,
100%.
Justine, what are your top wellness tips that someone can add into their day?
Yeah, so my top wellness tips. So first of all, I'd like to start with sleep.
Yeah,
Which is
sure.
funny, but we're all so busy, and I think sometimes we get stuck on our phones before bed, or maybe we get stuck in a routine, so like an unhealthy routine. So first thing I would say is like check out your bedtime routine and say, okay, am I putting down all screens before bed? So about an hour ish, the research says that you should be taking away the screens and just focusing on maybe you get a bath, maybe you practice self-care, maybe you talk to your spouse about something that's not too heavy. Whatever you do to start to get into your routine, it's staying away from the cell phones, staying away from work commitments that hour before, so you can start to get your body prepared for a really good night's sleep. And when you are in, when you do have a better night's sleep, then you're more likely to make choices that are more healthy for your body the next day as well. So, and I realize it's easy for me to say, and we all got very busy lives, but if one thing, just try and get into that sleep routine. And, extra bonus points if you can slip in a little nighttime meditation there as well before bed. That would be super, super great. And then when I think of like my top tips for the next day, it's getting out, taking at least 15 minutes to move your body in some way. You may have heard like the participation
Hmm.
advertisements going around. You're only 15 minutes from a better
Yeah,
mood.
yeah,
Participation is very credible. They're telling you the truth.
yeah.
If you're having a cruddy day, 15 minutes is going to help you to feel a lot better. So if you can't do anything else, take 15 minutes. That can be lunch break, morning, evening, anytime, just to get out and move a little bit. Connection is also really important. It's one of the other guiding values of JoyFit is make sure you're connecting with somebody. Social isolation, the research is saying, is just as harmful to our health as smoking can be or a very sedentary lifestyle. So finding somebody to connect with and get out, and that could be maybe you join a class, you find someone to walk with, maybe you just reach out. Maybe you can't see someone in person, but you reach out to a family member or an old friend. But connecting with people helps us to feel um, like like we're living a more meaningful life as well. So making that time for connection.
There was a study I read, a longevity study, and they had 30,000 people in the study, and they talked about the 10 top factors that contributed to longevity. And people will know what the normal ones are, high blood pressure, heart disease, cholesterol, diabetes, all of the common ones that you would get. But the top two, and as I said, they follow like 30,000 people over a span of 20 or 30 years. And the top two, when you take all of those other medical conditions, the top two that contribute to longevity, number one was a loving and healthy uh, relationship, and number two was social interaction,
Mm,
being with friends. Those were the top two contributors to longevity, and people don't realize that reaching out and having a friend, not only is it good for when you're not in the mood to go for a walk, but your friend says, "Come on, we're going because we're we're on a roll here now." That kind of helps, but also to be able to have that connection. So that's really critical, and I'm glad you brought that up. Justine, we're almost out of time. I just got a couple of more questions. So,
okay.
how do you make these ways you were just ways to wellness more of a habit? And I know people talked about the 21 days to create a habit, and I read somewhere that someone came up with that idea. It takes 21 days to change a habit, but the research actually shows something way more different. And so, what the research is showing is not so much as getting to the end, it's about embracing the journey. And it's
Mm,
okay if you fall off the wagon once or twice. It's okay if you make a mistake. The point is staying on the journey. So they're saying it could take anywhere from, I think it said 88 days to 210 days or something to really change a habit. So what they want people to realize is you just don't go to a gym or something, and in a couple of days you don't feel like you're connected. That's okay, because it's not a short-term thing. It's a lifetime commitment. So how can we do these things so that they become habit forming? Because that's really what it's about, isn't it? It's about creating that change so that it is incorporated as a part of your lifestyle.
100%. Yeah, it's when it comes to, I think, habits, the biggest thing is that we can't change everything all in one day. Um, and the lifestyle that like I've created has taken me many, many years. So
Hmm.
when I've had clients ask me, what does your day look like? Or what does this look like? And I try to be humble and realize that habits healthy habits don't happen overnight and they
Absolutely.
take years and
Yep.
to blend them all in, and that's okay. We have a lifetime to keep trying and to keep working on mastering ways to improve our own health. And so when I think of the best thing that I would say to somebody in terms of how to start forming a habit is pick one thing and add it to a habit that you already have. So most people brush their teeth every morning. So if you are somebody who wants to get into meditation and you want to try meditation, perhaps you meditate every day after you brush your teeth. You keep that bathroom door locked. Maybe you got kids, maybe you got busy life. You keep that bathroom door locked. You set your timer for 5 or 10 minutes and you just sit there on the floor. You can pretend you're doing something else and just meditate for 5, 10 minutes. You're adding it to that habit that you already have, which is brushing your teeth. Or if I'll just stick with the meditation habit just for example purposes, but it could also look like if you're somebody who drives to work every day. So on that car ride on your way to work, you're practicing some of your breathing techniques. Maybe you're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose and really starting to try and focus on calming your mind during those transition points during the day. So no, you're not sitting down and closing your eyes for formal meditation, but you're still taking that time to focus on your breath and just go inwards for those few minutes during those transition points. So it's picking like times in your day that you believe you'd be able to be consistent, and then add that habit in there because we all have some habits that we do.
Sure.
Maybe you already watch Netflix in the evenings
Yeah.
and Netflix is part of your routine with your husband and you absolutely love it. Well, you're going to start pausing Netflix for after
Yeah.
one show, and then you're going to get up and just do a few stretches together, and that
We
becomes part of that habit.
we all have unconscious habits. I think what you're saying is we need to make them conscious habits. We need to, because a lot of times I hear people say, I'm really not in the mood to go for a run today, and I always say, well, you don't have to be in the mood. You just, and I think when you said you have to pick a time, I mean, you really do. That's really critical. At a certain point, this is my habit, and this is what I'm going to do. Justine, great conversation. Can you leave our listeners with some advice that they can use right now to help with whatever adversity they're going through?
Absolutely. Get out there, get your body moving. Try not to let any of those limitations get in the way. It doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter your physical abilities. Just move your body in some way. You can stretch, you can get outside. And honestly, even if you just get outside and sit in nature and look at the birds for 15 minutes, just get outside, take a break from your life. We are not meant to be human doings. We're meant to be human beings, and you deserve to take some time in your life each day and devote that to your own well-being. And it doesn't have to be a big chunk. Even 15 minutes can do have a big impact on your life.
And research shows that, and people, and people who work full time, it's really important to take regular breaks, even if it's just getting up from your desk and just getting your mind away from a problem that you have and you can't solve it, just to walk away and clear your mind, come back a minute or two later, and you'd be surprised at how much more energy you can have just by giving yourself that break. Justine, thanks very much for taking time out of your busy day to talk to us, and you're welcome back anytime with to share your wealth of knowledge.
Awesome. I'd love to. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And everybody, Justine's information or contact information is there as you're listening to her. So please reach out and find out how uh, you can incorporate Justine's wellness programs into your life. That's it for this week, everybody. We'll be back next week with another interesting guest. Bye bye for now.